While women and children are mostly not the subjects of crisis, they tend to be objects at the receiving end of the upheavals of livelihoods, among others. I want to sincerely thank all workers of Humanitarian, led by the Honorable Minister of Humanitarian, for the good work you've been doing to salvage and put smiles on the millions of women and children that are dying, suffering all forms of pains in different locations all around the country, particularly the Northeast region. Without doubt, I am optimistic that the Humanitarian Day will be of immense value in enhancing the implementation of all regional and international frameworks and resolutions on women, peace and security.
For the Ministry of Environment, climate change and humanitarian crises are intertwined. Therefore, the day readily presents an opportunity to pay attention to the glaring concerns of climate change in the country by supporting vulnerable communities in adapting to the threats and consequences of global changing climate.
Time is running out for millions of world's most vulnerable people. Communities are already losing their homes, their livelihoods, and their lives. For many communities across the globe, life-threatening crises are becoming increasingly complex as climate change and the COVID-19 pandemic intensified poverty, hunger, weakened economies, fanning flames of conflict and insecurity over scarce resources. The alarming disproportionate dynamics of climate change is that it varies in intensity depending on the geography. It is obvious that we are gradually feeling the negative impact of climate change. As such, we have to collaborate and fight climate change as one, as we are fighting the COVID-19, because its final manifestation will occur at time, scale, and speed before our fighting force or financial resources can curtail it. Our collective effort should focus on supporting communities and countries to adapt, mitigate, and build resilience against the effect of climate change.
A milestone recorded for the ministry with the presentation of the National Humanitarian Development Peace Framework, which was developed by the National Humanitarian Coordination Technical Group under the directive of the National Humanitarian Coordination Committee of the ministry.
This framework is a multi-track, multi-agency and multi-stakeholder approach that involves the active and meaningful commitment of relevant stakeholders. Because humanitarian development and peace needs are not sequential, fundamental challenges remain in the coordination and implementation of aid sector. The National Humanitarian Development Peace Framework answers the coherence question and envisions stronger collaboration and coordination among actors from the fields of development cooperation, humanitarian action, and peace building. Considering the gaps we face due to different programming goals and mandates, this framework will provide a more integrated, effective, and efficient methodology for the aid sector to support the development and peace objectives of Nigeria. The strategic intent of the framework is to reduce vulnerabilities and support and promote peace and stability in Nigeria. It must be understood that vulnerability is not innate, it varies over time, meaning that it can be reduced through strategic planning and preparation, as well as through equitable policy making and investment. It is critical that vulnerable populations be regularly engaged and that they inform all our strategic planning. This modus operandi ensures government hears and acts on the perspectives of how individuals or communities can improve their outcomes in the event of any emergency.
The minister gave a breakdown of the National Humanitarian Development Peace Framework that has been developed to counter specific risks through 7 goals. all of which contain set objectives, strategic approaches, and actions.
Goal 1 speaks to the improving the quality of living standards for communities, taking cognizance of vulnerable persons and other persons of concern. This goal tackles the specific socio-economic and development needs of communities in the country. When living standards are improved, members have vested interest in nation building and are less susceptible to criminal activities or open to recruitment into terror groups. Goal 2 speaks to enhancing disaster preparedness, prevention, mitigation, and strengthening disaster risk information, governance, and infrastructure. This goal emphasizes prevention and preparedness as a critical foundation for disaster management and supports a proactive national coordinated response. Goal 3 speaks to the affected communities who will receive timely and holistic humanitarian response. Goal 4 is on securing stabilization and recovery of communities. Considering the complex nature of conflict and displacement in Nigeria, it is imperative to progress from humanitarian action to the stabilization, recovery, and reconstruction of devastated communities. Goal 5 is on better management of migration. Goal 6 is on building resilience for fragility, conflict, and violence. A crisis can be human-made or natural, but in fragile context. Goal 7 is on peace-making, peace-building, and sustainable peace.
The call for collective effort in ensuring food security in the country was also emphasized by the minister. This, she says, is very crucial in filling the gap the COVID-19 pandemic, catastrophic weather, with incessant insecurity in the Northeast has created food insecurity in the country.
The Federal Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development, through its agencies, has been engaged in providing food and nutrition assistance to address the concerns of food insecurity in the Northeast and other parts of the country. Specifically, the Northeast Development Commission will commence food assistance to the Bay States and the other 3 states in the Northeast on the 2nd of September 2021 to address this issue. I therefore call on all aid sector stakeholders to work closely with the ministry to create an implementing strategy for the National Humanitarian Development Peace Framework. I hereby launch this framework. Thank you very much.
Following the launch of the National Humanitarian Development Peace Framework, which is a collective vision by stakeholders who are expected to localize, own and develop implementation strategies to meet the needs of the vulnerable communities, the present administration is throwing its weight on the call for global action against climate change. The Vice President, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, who was represented by the Minister of State for Education, Chukwuemeka Nwajuba, acknowledged the 2021 World Humanitarian Day as a time for everyone to take a stand for the human race, while remembering those who paid the ultimate price in the fight against the COVID-19 pandemic, and also ensure the protection of the vulnerable people by bridging the vaccination gap.
As we celebrate the World Humanitarian Day in this period of the COVID pandemic, we are reminded of how important global cooperation is to winning the race against climate change and other societal challenges. In 2020, we were faced with a global health challenge that posed an equal level of threat to us all, breaking down the barriers of race, religion, social and political status, as well as geography. While this was a wake-up call to all and the reality of the fragility of human race as a whole, in the face of a global health crisis, it was also a reminder of how easily penetratable the economic bubbles and barriers separating the most vulnerable from the privileged can be. As we mark this day, the conversation regarding how we can strengthen our collective resilience in the fight against climate change to ensure that we leave absolutely no one behind is one whose outcome will shape our future as humanity and the role we all play as humanitarians, world leaders, and global citizens of our great planet Earth. In the wake of the COVID outbreak, we are no more in doubt about the threat of climate change to humanity today. According to the United Nations Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, the world must cut its carbon dioxide emissions to a net zero by 2050 in order to prevent global warming of 1.5 degrees centigrade or more above pre-industrial levels.
With about 2 million internally displaced persons across the country, the Vice President noted that an evaluation of the vulnerable population across the country places IDPs, host communities, and often climate-induced conflict areas.
Now more than ever, it has become pertinent to push for collective action and commitment of nations and leaders to protect the world's most vulnerable people who are often at the fore of the negative impact of climate crisis. The effects of which, in many cases, affect health, result in the loss of livelihoods, cause displacement, and loss of lives. Responding to these conditions, our President Muhammadu Buhari, GCFR, and our government has, in the past 6 years of the current administration, set in motion strategic steps to address the issues of fragility of our country coming out of protracted conflict and economic downturn through the enactment of policies, establishment of agencies, and institutionalization of this ministry, the Federal Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management, and Social Development, to coordinate and oversee the expansion of interventions, social investment programs, and other development efforts to support and strengthen resilience among the most vulnerable populations, especially more relevant than ever in the era of the COVID-19 pandemic and rising climate emergency. I therefore urge all stakeholders present today to pick up the challenge and join the hashtag #HumanRace to stop climate change in its tracks by utilizing the guidelines of the framework through a localized approach to tackling the environmental issues we face in Nigeria today.
Beyond the World Humanitarian Day, the dialogue continues as a ray of hope beckons, as the voices get louder, a demonstration of resilient minds, paving a clear path in building a better future for all to thrive.
Information is power. Everyone wants power. So feel powerful with the NTA News mobile app, the one-stop information center. Real news at your fingertip. Be the first to report by uploading first-hand information on the You Report link, and be the first to know by simply clicking on any of the links on the sidebar for headlines, domestic and foreign news, economy, security, politics, sports, and more. Stream live on your smartphone and tablets and stay connected. It's pretty easy. Simply download NTA News app from your Google Play Store and you're good to go. NTA News mobile app, your access to real-time information.
In the rain?
It depends on the velocity of the rain.
NTA, you can't beat the reach.
This is the network service of the NTA.
Hello there. Welcome to Health Options, the program that not only tracks government policies on health, but helps you with the right information you need to make informed choices about your health. Thanks for of disease in the country. This was in the wake of the arrival of Moderna and the Johnson & Johnson vaccines, expected to enhance federal government's efforts to get more Nigerians vaccinated in order to achieve herd immunity against the disease. From the logistical preparation for the storage of these vaccines, efficacy levels to the rules governing the administration. Stay with us for these and more on this episode of Health Options as we take a look at the country's second phase of COVID-19 vaccination. If you're just joining us, this is Health Options, and our attention is on the country's second phase of the COVID-19 vaccination. And I have the Executive Director, National Primary Healthcare Development Agency, Dr. Faisal Shaib, on the program to take us through issues revolving around this current stage of the COVID-19 vaccination.
The federal government has invested heavily in making sure that we not only certify the right vaccines that are safe and effective for use in Nigeria, but also that when they get to Nigeria, from the national level all the way to the local government and the health facilities, that the cold chain equipment have been procured, they are functional, and they will continue to keep the vaccines at temperatures that have been recommended by the manufacturers. So all across the land, we're in the process of finalizing the installation of cold chain equipment that can keep vaccines in +2 to +8. So this has been more than 90% completed. We hope that by the end of 2021, we'll be able to finish that, so that in each political ward, you have at least one functional. The COVAX facility and some developed countries, we've been able to get ultra cold chain equipment to store these vaccines that require ultra cold chain environment. So temperatures of -50, -80 degrees Celsius. These are not common or normal temperatures that we've used in Nigeria. But President Muhammadu Buhari approved the procurement of these vaccines, this cold chain equipment, and this cold chain equipment are already deployed in the states. We're finalizing the process of installing them. I mean, they are more than 98% installed. Only a few states are just completing that process of installation. Now, this is what gives us the guarantee that the vaccines that we're taking to the communities are potent, that they are going to be safe, and they're going to be effective against COVID-19, irrespective of the variant. They'll be able to reduce the severity of the disease. They'll be able to reduce the number of people who will need hospitalization, and the number of people who will die from COVID-19. So it is an immense opportunity for Nigerians to avail themselves of these jobs. You can't put a price tag to a life, right? So in the end, what we've done is gone through the usual procurement processes and made sure that we got the best prices for this equipment. In the end, what we're comfortable is the fact that this equipment are available. We're comfortable with the fact that this equipment are functional. We're comfortable with the fact that we're going to be delivering potent vaccines to all Nigerians, and we should be very proud of the proactive action of the Presidential Steering Committee on COVID-19, the Federal Ministry of Health, and National Primary Healthcare Development Agency. We have started the second phase of the COVID-19 rollout, except for about, as of today, I think about 7 states are yet to fully commence, just because we've told them that they have to make sure that all of their backup plans for their cold chain equipment are functional. So before we send you vaccines, you need a functional ultra cold chain equipment, right? But apart from the ultra cold chain equipment that you have, you also have to have a backup working freezer and then a backup chest freezer. Just because if for any reason, right, you have a malfunction, you have, backup plans. That is something that we've mandated the states to have. This is the reason why we've not deployed vaccines to, just about, 7 states or thereabout. Again, just to make sure that at no point in time are the vaccines exposed to any conditions that might affect their potency. So very strict with those requirements. But in terms of the rollout, what we're seeing is states really being excited to start the process of giving out the vaccine. So you may recall that we got over 4 million doses of the Moderna vaccine. We got about 700,000 doses of AstraZeneca, for the second doses, and then about 177,600 doses of the Johnson & Johnson vaccine. So we have, a hodgepodge of vaccines that people can choose from. But one thing that is very clear is that all of these vaccines are safe, they are effective, and that what guidance we're giving to the states, and the states are abiding by this guidance, is that if you're coming for your first vaccine, take the Moderna vaccine as first dose, take it as second dose. If you took the AstraZeneca vaccine, anytime before July 8th, then you are due for your second dose of the AstraZeneca vaccine. So go to the health facility, and you can be given that, second shot of the AstraZeneca vaccine. And then we've also mapped out specific areas where we want to give the single shot Johnson & Johnson vaccine. Why? Because in those areas, we believe that it will be more difficult for people to get a second jab, just because they are in security compromised areas, hard to reach areas. So any opportunity that you have to actually get them vaccinated, then you got to grab it with both hands. This is exactly what we're doing.
There are also rules governing the administration of the COVID-19 vaccines that you should know about for your safety.
People should not, try and get, additional vaccines after they've gotten their 2 doses of the AstraZeneca. And then we've been clear to say that if you take Moderna vaccine as the first dose, take it as the second dose. If you took AstraZeneca as first dose, also take it as the second dose, right? It doesn't give you any added advantage to finish taking AstraZeneca and then you say, oh, you want to increase with Moderna and then the Johnson & Johnson. We do not understand fully what those interactions are, and for the meantime, that type of combination is absolutely prohibited, and we're calling on all Nigerians not to do that. We are confident about the immune ability, producing ability of the vaccines that are being used in Nigeria, and there is no need to add additional different types of vaccines just because you want to increase your immunity. That has potential health effects that we do not understand. The body could react in ways that may not really be optimal for the individual. So I will call on all media houses to also convey this information that people should not try to mix and match the vaccines or get additional doses of the vaccine beyond what is required.
It only entrusts you to know that those in hard-to-reach areas are of high priority this time around. But what mechanism has been put in place to ensure this?
For the first phase of the vaccination rollout, we targeted health workers, frontline workers, strategic leaders, right? So those individuals typically live in the most urban areas, right? But in the second phase of the rollout, because we now have the Johnson & Johnson vaccine, which is a one-shot vaccine, we'll be targeting people in hard-to-reach areas. So people who typically live in mountainous areas, riverine areas, people who live in security-compromised areas. Because you now have one opportunity to go give the jab and then you pull out, we've been able to work with the Grade 3 geographic information system. So we'll be able to map where these communities are, and we're going to be deploying the Johnson & Johnson vaccines to reach them. So we're prioritizing them for the Johnson & Johnson vaccine. And because we are clear about how we're going to be able to meet them, we feel pretty confident that we'll be reaching this hard-to-reach community, so that no community, no individual is left behind just because of where they live. One of the advantages of actually having the electronic management of the immunization database is because once you have taken the first dose of any vaccine, your data is already there, captured in the database. So when you come and you want to say, oh, I want to take a second or a different vaccine, well, your name and your details will be pulled up and we'll say, no, it's not going to happen, right? This is why it was great. It was a great idea that right from the first phase, we actually used an electronic database for the very first time in our country to capture these types of mass vaccination campaign. So people who have already finished their second dose will not be able to get a different vaccine, right? And what it also means is that even if you want to use a different name, you cannot. If you want to use a different phone number, you cannot. There are different sort of stop gaps, barriers that we have put in the electronic management of the immunization information that makes it difficult for people to be able to beat the system. But apart from that, we are all aware of the fact that Nigeria has procured almost 40 million doses of the Johnson & Johnson vaccine. The initial doses that we brought, that were supplied, the 177,600 doses, is just the first consignment, just symbolic, right, out of 40 million doses. So eventually, we're going to have so much of the J&J vaccine that it makes no sense for people to, go to the hard-to-reach areas and wait just because they want the Johnson & Johnson vaccine. It's going to be available even before the end of this month. We're going to get additional 1.2 million doses of the vaccine, and then every single month thereafter, we're going to get additional vaccine. So the J&J vaccine, if it is a preferred choice of Nigerians, is going to be available. But even apart from that, other vaccine types are going to be available.
How much knowledge do you have about the various vaccines and their efficacy level?
So in terms of the different vaccines, it is difficult and really not very scientific to compare the efficacy levels from one vaccine to the other, because there were different clinical trials, different settings that resulted in those efficacy numbers. So it's like comparing apples and oranges when you're trying to compare the efficacy level, say, of Pfizer and Moderna vaccine with the Johnson & Johnson and AstraZeneca. No. So it's like, it says two different people compete in two different sports against different opponents, and then you now begin to compare that one is faster, for example, than the other. It depends on, the competitors, right? So if you are, for example, if you are in a clinical trial, the results that you get are localized, they are contextual to that clinical trial. So you cannot compare the results against a different clinical trial that also involves a different vaccine. What you can do, for example, is have those numbers to give you a sense of how efficacious that vaccine was within that clinical trial. For example, the Moderna vaccine, the efficacy level is at 94%. The Pfizer level is at, the Pfizer vaccine is at 95%. So very, very, close in terms of their percentages. And for the AstraZeneca, based on the study that was done, the level of, efficacy can reach up to 80%, if you are able to sort of provide a longer duration between the first and the second doses. So in the 70s after the first dose, but you can approach even close to 90% if you give a timeline of up to 12 weeks between the first and the second doses.
What about the Johnson & Johnson? That's a single dose.
Yes, the single dose Johnson & Johnson up to 67% has been provided as the efficacy level. Again, it depends on the different conditions that were provided for the clinical trial. What we're saying consistently is that people need to take the opportunity that has been presented to them to get vaccinated. Right now we have vaccines that are available. Some of these vaccines have been donated. We're not sure about the availability of these vaccines from those who have donated. Those that have been procured are also available. So people should make hay while the sun shines, right? And grab the opportunity to get vaccinated. And we're experiencing a third wave. Some countries are already experiencing a fourth wave. There are people who were able to escape the first and second wave in Nigeria. But with the third wave, if you're listening very closely to the news, you can see how many notable Nigerians are dying from COVID-19, right? And there's no escaping the fact that there could be a fourth wave. So even if people say, oh yes, I've been able to escape the first and the second wave without a vaccine, when is it that you could get infected with the virus? Is it in this third wave? Could it be in the fourth wave? Why would you take a chance, of getting infected with the virus and you suffer severe disease and that could even lead to death? And in some instances, even if you do recover, there's what we call long-term COVID, right? Where you continue to have some symptoms as a result of the infection, and those symptoms could persist for life. Why would you want to risk debilitating long-term disease when there's a vaccine that can clearly protect you against the COVID-19 disease? What COVID-19 vaccination does is to reduce the severity, reduce the chances of hospitalization and death from COVID-19. What it doesn't guarantee is an infection. So even after you've taken the 2 doses of the COVID-19, you could still get, infected. This is what we call breakthrough infection, right? Because the vaccine is not perfect, right? But because you've been vaccinated, there is the chance that the symptomatology of your infection is going to be very mild, right? So you have just mild disease. Sometimes you may be completely asymptomatic, right? And that is exactly what is necessary for you to understand that the vaccine actually works. You could get some mild illness, but it's better to get mild illness than to have severe illness or even death, right? This is why we're encouraging the vaccine, and we've developed this vaccine within record time, less than a year. So over time, of course, there's always that opportunity to even improve on the performance of the vaccine, right? But it's very, very critical that people understand that even though you've gotten the vaccine, that you should still protect yourself, observe the non-pharmaceutical interventions, right? So that you protect yourself and you protect your loved ones from the infection. Wear your face mask, observe social distancing, hand hygiene, so that you don't contract the virus and then you don't be the source of the virus in terms of transmitting to your loved ones. Whether you have comorbidities or you don't, COVID-19 is still a dangerous disease. But what we have observed is those who have comorbidities are more likely to die from COVID-19 because it worsens their situation because they already have a compromise in terms of the biological systems, right, that they have. COVID-19 is an added layer, an added burden to their system, and that makes it easier for them to have severe disease and they will die. So yeah, absolutely right that this is a concern. So whether you are hale and hearty and you don't have a comorbidity, if you contract COVID-19, it will still be dangerous. A lot of people who have died from COVID-19 don't even have comorbidity. What we're just saying is that if you have a comorbidity like diabetes, hypertension, heart disease, cancer, then you are less likely to survive COVID-19, and this is why it is important for you to get the vaccination. These vaccines are safe. These vaccines are effective. Nigerians who have not availed themselves of this opportunity should get over their doubts. They should ignore the conspiracy theories, right, and instead make sure that they actually go all out and get the vaccines. Over 2 million Nigerians have already taken the vaccine. So, that's 2 million evidences that these vaccines are safe and that these vaccines are not lethal. We have gone through due diligence to make sure that we got the right vaccines for Nigerians. And there's no greater demonstration of that safety than what Mr. President, Mr. Vice President, so many governors, so many traditional leaders have already done in terms of demonstrating in public that these vaccines are safe.
So how do people get the vaccine? Where did they go to? Can you just tell us now? So,
we've published the list of designated health facilities in every local government where you can go and have the vaccines, right? You can see that in the media. It's also available on our website. In every, primary healthcare department, at the local government level, those information are available, and people can also register. You can get to the NPA CDA website and register to have your vaccination, you can actually schedule what time you want to take the vaccines, and then what day you want to take the vaccine, and then you can just walk to that specific health facility that either exists near your workplace or near where you actually live, so that it's more convenient for you.
That does it on this episode of Health Options. A quick reminder that you can go to our YouTube channel to watch the upload of these and other episodes of the program. Email us for your comments and contributions at healthoptions@nta.gov.ng. Go get vaccinated if you are yet to, and continue to observe the safety protocols. I remain yours, Rabi Abdullah. Thanks for your time. Hope to see you again.
Information is power. Everyone wants power. So feel powerful with the NTA News mobile app, the one-stop information center. Real news at your fingertip. Be the first to report by uploading first-hand information on the U Report link, and be the first to know by simply clicking on any of the links on the sidebar for headlines, domestic and foreign news, economy, security, politics, sports, and more. Stream live on your smartphone and tablets and stay connected. It's pretty easy. Simply download NTA News app from your Google Play Store and you're good to go. NTA News mobile app, your access to real-time information.
The act of making something more beautiful by adding ornaments to it is also known as decoration. Today, so many men and women hardly do without decorating their events. They choose the colors and the quality of materials befitting such an event. Invited guests and groups that grace the occasion normally come in their numbers with different attires conforming to the recommended colors. This practice is an indicator of cooperation and solidarity during ceremonies and festive periods. The purpose of wearing the dress can be to serve as self-identification with age mates, relations or friends during social occasions such as weddings, funerals or parties. The word aso in Yoruba means cloth and ebi denotes family. So aso-ebi can be described as a family cloth usually worn during parties or family ceremonies or occasions. However, others call it anko, and many adopt the white man model, which is uniform.
When it first started, it was just the headgear. All the members wearing the same color. Gradually, today, they have moved down even to the dress and the handbag. Handbag to match, and even shoes.
The question then is, how do we practice in our own locality in Benue State?
Because of our association with the outside world, our people are bringing it and introducing it now in Benue State.
They use it in order to make their events colorful. Almost all the Tiv traditional marriages, you see them making black and white aso-ebi. So for the Ido Mass, it's red and black. Then the Igede is blue and black on their traditional marriages, and even on their white weddings, they use black and white.
How do you feel when your event is accentuated with different colorful attires?
So much excited because I will know that at least I have a group, as in people that have identified with me on my day.
I will be so excited, so joyously silent, I will know that yes, so people, everybody will know that yes, these are so people, he belongs to them, so it makes you happy.
What happens if the guests come with attires whose colors do not correspond with those recommended?
It is not as if it is a must that you must wear shobi. It's not for everybody. So if the chief celebrant sees somebody who is not into that attire, why will he or she not welcome the person?
There are factors that could make people to disappoint you in that way. Some, it could be that they don't have the money to afford the material given. So it could be that they don't like wearing the same clothes with so many people.
Inasmuch as decoration is aesthetic to an event, people whose attires do not conform with the color of the day should be free to partake in the merrymaking or identify with others wearing the same uniform. After all, the essence of attending any party is just to celebrate with others and have a nice time. So, next time you're going out for that occasion, the choice is yours. Stay with the crowd or have your own unique identity.
Hello and thanks for joining us for an update of the news. Tijani Latifat became the first athlete to pick Nigerian's gold medal in Tokyo 2020 Paralympics. She put up a scintillating performance after a first lift of 105 kilograms was disallowed. The Ogun State-born athlete came back strong with burning enthusiasm to write her name in gold in her fourth attempt, getting close to world record of 118 kilograms to lift the first medal for Team Nigeria in Tokyo.
So happy and I'm glad that I promised 2016 that I will bring the gold. And I thank God that Almighty Allah gave me the gold. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen.
Troops of Sector 2 Joint Task Force in the Northeast Operation Hadinkai have foiled attack on Babangida town in Yobe State on Wednesday, 25th of August by Boko Haram and Islamic State of West Africa Province terrorists. A statement by the Director Army Public Relations, Brigadier General Onyema Wachuku, indicates that the criminals made efforts to infiltrate Yobe town but were forced to retreat in disarray. One gun truck, anti-aircraft gun, and other arms were captured during the operation. And the presidency has described recent statement by Governor Samuel Otom of Benue State on the security situation in his state as inciting ethnic hatred. A statement from the presidency described the governor's recent actions and utterances as an act of denial of the law intended to withhold the rights and freedom from one ethnic group alone, whilst inciting race hatred against them, amongst others. The statement adds that inciting comments such as those credited to the governor are not different from the genesis of the regrettable genocide witnessed in Rwanda. It further states that these actions indicate an attempt to boost his political fortunes, which has made the governor to take the cheapest and lowest route possible by playing on ethnic themes, and in doing so, knowingly causing deaths of innocent Nigerians by inciting farmers against herders and Christians against Muslims. That's an update of the news. At this time, there will be more at 1. Thanks for watching. I'm Comfort Amodu.
This is the network service of the NTA.
It may interest you to know that baking is a combination of science and art. Great bakers across the globe employ curiosity and experimentation to come up with sumptuous cake recipes. Any failed experiment in baking is regarded as a learning experience. This is Baker's World on NTA. Here you get to know more about trending cake recipes, sugar crafts, cake shows, and more in the baking industry. I am Funke Oyele. I'm glad to know you're watching. Today on the show, we'll be exploring a unique and easy to make cake recipe: buttercream decoration with chocolate cells. Our guest is a delectable young lady whose experience as a self-taught has distinguished her. I'm pretty sure she will inspire you. We also have baker's gist and more for your viewing delight. Just relax and enjoy the show. There is a confectionery whose main ingredients are butter and brown sugar. It is called butterscotch. Today on this segment, we'll share with you an amazing butterscotch cake recipe. Our baker of the day, Queen Favor, and assistant will take us through the process of making this recipe. If you're ready, let's hand over to our baker now.
To make butterscotch cake, we have to start with making our butterscotch sauce. We'll be needing butter, whipped cream, brown sugar, and salt. Okay, we'll start by dissolving our butter. And then we'll add our brown sugar. Here is our whipped cream. And lastly, we'll need a pinch of salt. So we'll keep stirring until the sugar completely dissolves. This should take about 2 minutes. Okay, I think we're good to go. Now we'll have to keep it on the side for it to cool. Okay. So while our butterscotch sauce is cooling, we'll continue with making our cake. First and foremost, we'll have to cream our brown sugar and butter. Here is my butter. You can use margarine in place of butter as well. And next, our brown sugar. We'll cream our butter and our sugar for like 10 minutes until it's fluffy. I'll start by mixing on low speed, then gradually increase the speed. So now we've mixed this for 10 minutes and it's fluffy. Now we'll add our butterscotch sauce into the butter. Okay, so my butterscotch sauce and cream has mixed. So right now I'm going to alternate my egg and flour. Okay, this is
my flour. I've already sieved the flour before now. It's very important to sieve your flour, not only to remove dirt or lump, but it also helps to incorporate air into your mixture. Okay, so we're about to put our baking powder. So we're done mixing. I'll have to do the rest of the job with my spatula. Before I continue, we already preheated our oven to 350 degrees. So we'll pour this into two 6-inch pans and put right into the oven.
Here, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll be having a chat with our guest baker. See you after the break.
I never started with attending a formal training. I learned through my mistakes over the years before I thought I was good enough to charge someone for a cake. Basically, I learned through my mistakes and I was good to go.
Our guest is an intelligent, charismatic, and enterprising cake artist, Favour Chidera Ikedema. Born on the 18th of November in Umunochi, local government area of Abia State, Favour attended Federal Government Girls College, Umuahia for secondary education and thereafter proceeded to University of Abuja, where she bagged a Bachelor's of Science degree in biology. While still in the university in 2012, Favour was crowned the most beautiful teenager girl in Nigeria amongst tens of other girls. Her interest in baking grew from her deep love for cakes. Favour was known as a passionate cake fan. As early as age 10, she decided to try some cake recipes on her own. With the aid of the recipe book her mother gave her, Favour Ikedema experimented cake making, made her mistakes, and of course she learned from them. This self-taught baker acquired more skills as time went on, including decorations, to perfect her creativity. Cake O'Clock by Fave is a brand name registered in 2017. Cake Queen, as fondly called by her friends, is a young boss who has trained quite a number of students in baking. Join us as we chat with this innovative, charming, result-oriented cake artist, Queen Favour Chidera Ikedema.
If you're just joining us, this is Baker's World on NTA. Today I have with me a delectable woman, a very young woman, one of our youngest bakers to ever come on the show, Queen Favour Ikedema. You're welcome to Baker's World.
Thank you.
So one of the things I want to get on right away is you are so young and yet you've established your own business. What inspired you to become a professional baker?
Okay, first and foremost, I've always loved to bake as a child. I love anything cake. And I started off really young, and I have a lot of people telling me they like my cakes, and I will just try out designs by myself. Normally I'm a shy person because I was just thinking, how am I going to, tell people I do cake and get them to believe in me to pay for the services. But eventually, like, a lot of people were just eating my cakes and they loved it. I'm like, okay, maybe I should turn this hobby into business. That was how I started.
So tell me the story of how it all began.
As a child, I've never seen where someone is baking a cake, but I just love cakes. I read about a baker, Cakes by Tosin. Yes. I'm like, wow, a man bakes cake. Like, I was so fascinated by it, and I've always loved cake. I always tell my mom she should please go and learn how to bake. She will always postpone. Okay, I'll go and learn. This is your auntie that bakes. She will teach me.
So tell me, I know you just started, so you must have made a lot of mistakes. But tell me the story of your first rookie mistake.
For myself, I'll first of all say a mistake for myself before the client. So the first mistake, the first time I baked, I didn't know that you don't have to open the oven severally when the cake batter is in there. But I was excited. I kept on checking the oven and checking and checking. So when the cake was finally out, it was smelling like cake. This is like, I was just excited that it was smelling like cake. But the cake was hard. The cake didn't rise. So, and how I figured that mistake was, the second time where my mom had to get me stuff to try the cake again, I put the cake into the oven and then I dozed off. So my waking up was rushing straight to the oven and the cake was ready. Behold, the cake was crispy. So I'm like, okay, so if I don't open this oven all the time, my cake is going to come out perfect. That's how I figured out that one. Okay, and then for a client now, it was a fondant cake. I tried to cover a cake with fondant. I don't know, I think I didn't put something that I was supposed to put. Then when I rolled it, it was looking perfect. Immediately I lifted the fondant up on the cake, I just had this tear. The thing, like, everything just tore apart. I was confused and frustrated. I had to, okay, Google was my friend at some point. I was at Google, why does my fondant tear whenever I cover it? You have to do something and keep doing it all over again. But that first time, I had to cover my mistake with designs all over the cake and all of that until I figured it out, yeah.
You're a very young lady, and to start your own business, tell me, what was your parents' reaction when you told them that you're going to become a professional baker?
My mom has always supported whatever I want to do. Okay, when I was a child, I can remember somehow I always told my mom that I wanted to be a baker when I was a child. But you know, this thing about being a doctor, lawyer, that was fine because I actually got a degree eventually. But I knew that I wanted to do anything about cake on the side. So, and you know, people have a way of saying it, like, then they'll look at it like, oh, after a degree, you think it's cake. Everybody could be asleep. I'll be awake at night trying to decorate a cake that belongs to nobody. Like, I'm just literally decorating that cake for us to eat. I just want to make a beautiful cake and take pictures. So she just saw that I was happy about the whole thing. So she didn't really say much. She really supported me. She had to get me my first mixer and all of those. Like, she didn't have any issues with it. I've always loved to be an entrepreneur, so she was good with it. Yeah.
There are a lot of young people out there, and being a young person, being a young entrepreneur yourself, a lot of people want to start their own cake making business. So what would your advice be for them? What should they look out for? Should they, wait till they have a lot of money before they can start something?
I think you don't need to have all the money. First and foremost, you need to have the passion, because it's only passion that can get you so far. You get a professional training, and then you start from home, start from where you are, and you have to stay focused and move at your pace.
Thank you so much. This has really been fun. I really enjoy chatting with you.
You're welcome.
That was our conversation with the CEO of Cake O'Clock by Fave, Queen Favor Ikedima. Now, before we go back to the studio to decorate our cake, we have baker's juice for you. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
intelligent women don't compete. They complement one another. Women, wherever they are, symbolize beauty, hard work, resilience, and creativity. Bakers Gist today showcases effort of some Nigerian bakers who deem it fit to celebrate womanhood through sugar craft. Let's enjoy some of their creative concepts.
Actually, it's more of women that are into baking. Baking is not actually easy at all. A lot of us undergo a lot of stress to come up with whatever we deliver.
I have a masterpiece I was able to put together strictly just to portray, that's telling a story about what a woman goes through. Look at the structure I have there. I had to go down to the grassroots. You know, a woman is one who is very, very strong, right from inception as a child. She's already trained to take up that position as a woman.
To make our chocolate sail, I'll make it a gold chocolate sail. So I'll be rubbing our gold dust into a silicone mat. So this is our melted chocolate. I'll pour it into the silicone mat. And then you tap to take away air bubbles. One thing about chocolate sail, you can play around with it. You can choose to give it any shape. You could leave it like this to take this shape, or any shape of your choice. So this is our chocolate sail. You can leave it out in a cool environment for it to stiffen and take its shape, or you can preferably put it into a refrigerator. So we've allowed our cakes to cool. So our cakes are completely cooled. So to decorate our cake, we'll be using a premium buttercream. It's a very silky and yummy buttercream to frost our cake. We'll need buttercream on each layer. A generous amount is so you can see that our cakes, they are all equal, and we baked with parchment paper, so you wouldn't necessarily have to trim the cake. I'll use our bench scraper to scrape smoothly. So now we'll allow our first crumb coat to set. That means we have to put it into the refrigerator for at least 5 minutes before we come back to do the final frosting. Thank you. Okay, so our cake is out from the fridge, and we'll have to do the second frosting on the cake. Gently apply your buttercream, round it. Okay, so for the second time, you can see that our cake is smooth, well scraped. We'll take it back into the fridge to set and chill before we continue with our chocolate seal deco. Okay, so our cake is out of the fridge, and I'll be showing you how to achieve a sharp edge on buttercream. So use your knife, gently Okay, so we're going to have an abstract design on our cake, just something rustic. So I'll be using my buttercream. I added black color into this. You can add any color of your choice. I just want black. So I'll just play around with this. We'll have to create something on the middle, like a hole, so that our chocolate seal can sit perfectly. So we don't. Okay, so it's really up to you if you want to put everything or if you feel this is okay. Okay, I will just cut this and just play around. Okay, so this is our cake, and we'll add edible gold leaf to beautify it. And lastly, for sparkle, we just spray some. So this is our premium chocolate art cake, and inside we have raspberry and butterscotch flavor.
Wow, this cake looks so good. It looks really beautiful, and I especially love the gold leaf that you put on it. It's like an added flair. And I can't believe this is chocolate. It really doesn't look like the regular chocolate. Well done, both of you. Well done. So let's have a taste of it.
Okay.
Very soft, and I can feel the butterscotch in it and the raspberry. Oh, well done. I know it was going to taste very good. Very good color. You know, this cake tastes so good, and it doesn't look overly complicated. If you want to try this cake at home, I'm sure you can get it. All you need to do is follow all the steps displayed by amazing baker. Or you can just order one if you don't want to go to the trouble of making one for yourself. That's where we draw the curtain for today. I hope you've had a nice time. For your comments, feedbacks, and likes, you can reach us on all our social media platforms: Facebook, YouTube, Instagram. It's Baker's World on NTA. So we'll come your way next week with another exciting and interesting episode. I am Funke Oyele. See you next week.
survive in the rain?
It depends on the velocity of the rain.
NTA, you can't beat the rich.
This is the network service of the NTA.
Hello and thank you for joining us on the program from the National Assembly. I'm Lami Ali. The Ninth National Assembly is in the process of reviewing the 1999 Constitution. Now, public hearings were conducted across the 6 geopolitical zones of the country to ensure that amendments reflect the wishes and aspirations of Nigerians. The package on the program today is the public hearing conducted in Jos, when the Deputy Speaker, Ahmed Idris Wasi, who is also the chairman of the House Special Committee on the review of the 1999 Constitution, presided over. We also contacted the Chairman House Committee on Rules and Business to give us the procedure of amending sections of the Constitution. Join us.
We have commenced the process of amending the Constitution in the Ninth Assembly. And as you know, Section 9 of the Constitution expressly states that only the National Assembly is empowered to amend any section of the Constitution. And the procedure goes like this. If there's any need to amend any section of the Constitution, a member of the Senate or a member of the House of Representatives can bring up a bill for amending that particular section. And once the bill is tabled, it will be read the first time, and then it will be read the second time again. At the second time, it will now be committed to the committee in charge of reviewing the Constitution. And we have already done the public hearings in respect of most of the bills. Already 187 bills seeking to amend various sections of the Constitution have been introduced. Some have passed second reading. Some are still at the preliminary stages. And it is hoped that by the time we are going to vote on all the clause by clause, we are going to conduct the clause by clause voting on all the issues. A lot of the bills, I'm not sure if all the bills we will scale through, will meet up the expectation or the demands of the amendment. But I'm sure by the time we go to the clause by clause consideration of the bills, a lot of them will be considered or be rejected. The State Assembly is affected only when after the close-by-close voting, unlike other bills, a vote to amend any section of the Constitution must have two-thirds majority in the House of Assembly, in the House of Representatives, and it must also pass by two-thirds majority at the Senate. Then it will be transmuted to the states. And even at the level of the states, you must have two-thirds of 36 states for a bill to qualify as having been amended. Once it cannot be passed at by two-thirds of 36, then that bill has failed, and it will be dropped. We have 36 states. For example, one of the bills being considered is that of state police, the creation of state police. And you must amend the Constitution, the provision that recognizes only a single federal police, okay, which means you have to devolve powers to states to also create their own police. Now, assuming that that bill passes by two-thirds majority at the House of Representatives and Senate, and it goes to the states, states must also pass the bill by two-thirds. You must have two-thirds of two-thirds. First of all, each assembly that is going to pass it must also pass it by two-thirds. Then you must have also two-thirds of two-thirds. So two-thirds of 36 states, how much is it? About 23 or so. Once it is passed, it will now be transmitted to Mr. President for assent. There's also the legal position that, in fact, the assent of the President is not required. It's not required, but once the requirement is made, it's assumed that, yes, the requirement has been made. So the assent of the President is just ceremonial.
The House of Representatives Special Committee on the Review of the 1999 Constitution as amended in fulfillment of the legislative process convened a public hearing across the country to collect memoranda. Deputy Speaker and Chairman of the committee, Ahmed Idris Wasi, chaired the public hearing in Jos as stakeholders made submissions.
I want to welcome you to this event. First, we appreciate the large turnout. It is one of the constitutional requirements in terms of discharging our functions in line with the provisions as contained in the amended sections, that we are to conduct public hearing, and this is just what we are here for. I do not have a very long speech, but to assure Nigerians that we are going to do justice to all presentations. We are there for you. You gave us a mandate, and we are not going to take it for granted in terms of what you have entrusted upon us. We will assure you through this medium that the National Assembly will do justice to every paper presented before us. And by the grace of God, we shall uphold the popular opinion of Nigerians. Thank you very much. You are welcome, and I wish you a successful deliberation and presentation. Thank you very much.
I am delighted to welcome honorable members of the Federal House of Representatives to Plateau State for the North Central Zonal hearing on the review of the 1999 Constitution as amended. This committee is no doubt carrying out a special assignment that is not only paramount to the lawmakers, but to the entire nation. I want to thank the leadership of the Ninth Assembly, particularly the House of Representatives, for embarking on this very critical assignment. Your choice of Plateau State as venue for one of the North Central Zonal public hearing is a welcome development and an affirmation of the peace and conducive atmosphere that prevails in today's Plateau. Let me assure you that Plateau State will continue to play a very critical role in the democratic journey of our nation, just as it has done in times past. Moreover, the challenges that made many people to run away from Plateau State are substantially contained, and we will continue to work hard to ensure that we build confidence in the home of peace and trust. Honorable members, ladies and gentlemen, we are gathered here for an assignment which is not new to Nigerians. Indeed, the 1999 Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, in sections 4, 8, and 9, and Order 18, Rule 9 of the Standing Orders of the House, confers powers on the House of Representatives to carry out alterations on the Constitution. Since the return of democracy in 1999, several attempts have been made to alter the Constitution in line with the yearnings of the people. Sadly, these efforts appear not to have achieved much, as many of the critical issues driving agitations by various interest groups are yet to be resolved. There are therefore high expectations that this particular exercise will not go the way of previous ones, which failed to address some key issues affecting the governance of the nation. This has led to further agitations that are growing and in some way threatening the peace, security, and the unity of the country. Like I said during the public hearing by the Senate last week, it will not be correct to assume that all the current challenges of the nation are tied to the Constitution. While we can point out some of them to the current Constitution, we must realize that our determination to follow its provision and respect it as the ground norm that binds us together is very key to solving our national problems. I therefore appeal to members of the Special Committee and the Nigerians presenting memoranda at this public hearing to see this exercise as a very important duty, which presents another opportunity for us to build a Nigerian that we desire to see. We should take advantage of the platform to ventilate and make submissions as to what we want injected or removed from the 1999 Constitution to make it more people-centered. Over the years, we have had blames upon blames on how the 1999 Constitution is ineffective, lopsided, or inadequate in addressing key national issues. While some of these assertions may appear exaggerated or even factual, the collective drive to take another look at the document with a view to making it better is a right step in the right direction. This is more apt when Nigeria is today facing serious security and economic challenges that many point to the 1999 Constitution. For instance, many believe that if the Constitution had provided for state police, the level of crime and insecurity would not be as high as we are witnessing today. The same assertion goes for the economy, where many feel the center controls too much. I am delighted to note that these and more other items have been listed for this public hearing, aimed at generating views and submissions that will eventually lead to the rebite of the Constitution that will address the yearnings and the aspirations of the citizens. As we gather here for this public hearing, many issues listed for review have been canvassed in the court of public opinion, with people from diverse backgrounds offering their views. Thankfully, this attempt to alter the 1999 Constitution would collect these views, sieve them for consideration when the National Assembly sits down to bring out the final document. Many have raised concerns on the need to devolve more powers to the subnational levels, enshrine fiscal federalism in revenue allocation, guarantee autonomy for all arms and tiers of government, provide specific roles to traditional rulers, and strengthen electoral reforms to guarantee free, fair, and credible elections, among others. Another issue that is much talked about is that of restructuring, which has been very much canvassed by different interests. It is our hope that this is the time the matter will be thoroughly dealt with in order to ensure that the agitations and the anxieties being expressed are put to rest. We need to be bold, sincere, and patriotic as we work for a greater Nigeria. Like I have said elsewhere, we have to conduct the discussion on the review of 1999 Constitution within the context of unity, stability, peace, and progress of the country. While we should have an open mind to every submission, we should not succumb to pressures, blackmail, intimidation, or harassment, which may be engineered by internal or external forces that stand to gain from the destabilization of our nation. We have to keep our eyes open. Let me again reiterate that there is no constitution that will resolve all our challenges